Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Film Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Tyler.
And
Is
we've
Justin
got
somebody here?
no,
Oh,
Justin. Okay. So I had COVID. I got sick. I take the blame for it. We got messed up. We missed a week recording, pushed out later. Uh Justin will be back. This comes out this week, so Justin should be back next week now.
okay. All right. Well, the good news is Justin will be back. He did not die of a mysterious rage virus, which I think should be a hint as to what we're talking about today.
Twice in a row, too. He got ate by the snake, and now he got rage virus and recovering.
Ate by the snake, beat to death by a monkey, and now consumed by a gigantic alpha zombie.
2026 is not Justin's year.
The guy cannot catch a break. Like he is literally chilling in a hospital right now, looking like that bandage dude from the chocolate bar episode from SpongeBob.
Oh my god.
I was born with glass bones and paper skin.
Well, you kind of gave it away what we're talking about today. We're going to do two movies today because we missed a week. I take the blame once again. We're going to start off with Primate. We haven't actually had a chance to talk about Primate at all, really, either of these movies.
Not at all. Yep.
And we saw it separately because I had to wait and stuff. So how did you feel about the movie Primate?
Yeah, so we ended up having to go see it separately. Obviously, you got sick. I was going to go by it myself because Lizzie had like zero interest in that movie. She was just not interested in it at all. So I actually asked her brother, who also his name is Ryan.
Yeah, he's my buddy. I like him.
Yeah, so so me and him went and saw it, and we had fun. It's definitely a movie where, because of the choices it makes with how gory it wanted to be, it would have been a lot more fun with more people. I think there was maybe like 6 to 10 other people in the theater with us. So it would have been more fun if I saw it like opening night with a big crowd. But I mean, it's not a bad movie. It comes from director Johannes Roberts, who is not new to the horror scene. He's not even new to man versus nature type horror scenes. Have you seen 47 Meters Down?
I have not seen it.
Okay, so this director made 47 Meters Down and its sequel, which actually I think is better than the original. And he also directed the second Strangers movie, not the really, really awful ones with Rennie Harlan, but
Pray at Night.
Pray at Night, yeah.
The other really awful one.
Yeah, so like he's got a grasp of horror here, and like you can tell, like even though this like is a very obvious like man versus nature, evil monkey type movie, the movie isn't afraid to like go for the gore, go for the throat, literally and metaphorically.
Yes.
The movie has some of the more creative animal kills I've seen in quite a while. It mostly works despite it being a relatively poorly lit film. I think that's probably one of my biggest criticisms, is that even though all the kills are really cool, like because the movie mostly takes place at night, you don't see a lot of cool stuff in there. But I mean, it's the movie's not trying to like win Oscars, right? And I'm not saying every movie needs to be that, but the movie just sacrifices character depth, even like any sort of thematic edge it possibly could have told about, you know, the dangers of nature and stuff like that, to just entertain with cool infected monkey kills. Well, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that works well for the movie. I don't think that it was meant to be like any kind of woke piece of art. I think it's what it is. It's a monkey that gets rabies and attacks. I've seen a lot of people compare it to a slasher movie. I want to say up front, this is not a slasher monkey movie. This is a 80s style creature feature film in the same vein of Cujo. That's making me real upset to see people call it a slasher movie. It is not a slasher movie. I don't know though. I was really blindsided by this movie because just about everybody in the movie, except for the main deaf guy, the dad, is like almost never been in a movie before. And I feel like this whole cast did fantastic for being completely fresh new people. I wanted your opinion on the acting.
Yeah, so if you're unaware, Ryan's talking about Troy Kotzer, who is a a deaf actor who is probably most famous for starring in the movie Coda that won Best Picture probably about 5 years ago now at this point. So he's probably like the recognizable face in here. No one else, like it's all your generic, probably like scale actors looking for their come up, trying to make their way in this movie. And I mean, for the most part, it works because I mean, the point of this movie is to see monkey kill teenager, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, most of the characters don't rise to the level beyond fodder for the monkey, right? I mean, there's like a dynamic between two of the characters who are sisters. I mean, the one who ultimately ends up being the quote unquote final girl, if you will. You know, they have maybe a little bit of an arc, but like every other character in here is literally just, you know, introduced, killed in a horrific way. Crazy monkey.
I had
So-
trouble separating the characters in my mind. I know I've said on the podcast before, I am genuinely face blind. So this movie was really bad with me trying to figure out which character was which at some parts, especially once there's a part where they get into a pool and their hair gets wet, and hair is a big defining feature for me. So when everybody has wet hair, it kind of makes me not recognize who anybody is.
I mean, if you
So-
held a gun to my head and said, name any character, like what their name was in the movie,
Yeah.
I'd be dead.
But coming from somebody that's never been in a movie before, just about, like I said, the whole cast, I expected a lot more cheesy deaths, and I feel like everybody even played their deaths really well, and that's really important for a movie like this. I also, going back to, I will never remember the guy's name, the deaf guy, which is what I will
Troy
know.
Kotsur.
Troy Kotsur. I
Yeah.
just shared with Tyler before, and thanks to Bloody Disgusting, I learned this. The director actually saw Coda and rewrote that character for Troy Kotsur to be deaf. Originally, he was not a deaf character, and that was all rewritten just because he saw that movie. And he loved the idea and came up with it. So I thought that was a cool little snippet.
Yeah, I mean, you saying that makes sense, right? Because I mean, the movie, like, there's like one or two scenes that maybe acknowledge that, like, obviously the character is deaf, but like, there's no real like narrative emphasis on his deafness, which I mean, you could view as a benefit, right? He's just another character who happens to be deaf, right? But like, I feel like, you know, they wanted to toy with it a little bit, but it almost seems like he was brought in kind of at the last minute. It does definitely give that vibe throughout the movie. Yeah, I just want to emphasize that this is like, it's not like a sci-fi original movie piece of schlock. Like it's a well-made horror movie, and like if you like horror movies, like you can do a lot worse for a January release, no doubt.
Well,
Like, yeah.
no, I want to add to your emphasis that, like, I was really blindsided and impressed of them choosing to do practical effects versus CGI.
Yeah.
And I give all credit to this film for doing that. Any film that is going to do practical effects, especially with a guy in a monkey suit, pretty much, incredible work for this.
Sneaky good score. I don't know, like, once again, we're talking about this, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks after we've seen this movie, but like, sneaky good score for a horror movie. Like that, like, stood out to me pretty adamantly. Like, you know, most horror stuff, you know, it's a couple massive drum beats for like jump scares and stuff like that, but everything else is pretty generic. This, like, actually, like there's effort here.
Yeah, I was anxious that whole movie.
Yeah. Oh God, great way of building up tension.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if I'm going to remember this movie by the time the end of the year comes. I think the movie we're also going to be talking about this episode is much more likely to be on my end of year list than this one. But yeah, I mean, it's a valiant effort. I can't complain. It's worth the price of a ticket. I would see it. When it inevitably makes its way to Shudder, is my guess.
Shudder or HBO or wherever this goes.
Yeah.
I don't know actually which company made Primate, but
I could probably find out for you in about 2 seconds. Details. Paramount. So it'll be on Paramount Plus.
On Paramount, yep.
Yep.
But definitely check it out. I agree with Tyler. It's a fantastic movie, especially for, like Tyler said, a January release for horror. We never see this good of stuff for that. So
Yep.
Catch it. It's a fun movie. But I think we both agree on that. We can move on to our next film, which I think we're both even more excited to talk about because we just
Oh
got
yeah.
home from it just now.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Tyler, how did you feel about 28 Years Later Bone Temple?
Damn, I was actually gonna kind of hope you went first because yeah,
I'll
I
go
kind of want to
first.
see what's wrong.
I said I will absolutely go first.
Oh,
I
go
was just
first.
being
Go
kind.
first. Go
Um,
first.
it's hard for me. I have a feeling you like this movie a little better than me at the start. But on my
Mhm,
drive home, I thought about the film a lot, and I thought about how interesting some of the themes were, and I'm a sucker for interesting themes.
mhm.
Of course, if you haven't seen the first 28 Years Later, I don't know why you're watching this, but um, it it goes in straight away from where that first movie ended, to see basically the cult of Jimmy, which was nothing like what I thought was going to be when we saw that first movie, Tyler. I don't know about you, but I did not see it being like a satanic cult. Spoilers ahead, by the way. Uh, did you see that coming at all whatsoever? Did I just miss
So I
that?
so no so from the trailers, I had an understanding that Jimmy, the Jack O'Connell's character, was going to be running a cult of some kind. I did not know it was going to be centered around him believing that he was the son of Satan.
Yeah, that
So
threw me way off. I thought we were gonna get a fun Power Ranger movie. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a single trailer for this movie. I went in
okay,
blind completely. Um, so that kind of threw me off. And I think that kind of sat with me weird through the movie of it being a movie that I wasn't expecting that I was gonna see. And
Mhm.
then we move into the Doctor and Voldemort's character. I'll never remember his name.
Ray
Um,
Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes.
Yeah.
He is in this like friendship relationship with the alpha zombie that we saw in the original one, which is another thing that really throws me off from the beginning. Um,
Okay.
so I think I had to let that stigma kind of die out while I watched this movie, and after driving home, I think it's a fine movie. It's a good middle point. I'm hoping this final one kind of ends off the series really well. Um, there, like I said, there's some really good thematic background, like the idea of um Ray Fiennes' character being an atheist, and usually it we see from the perspective of religious people saying like, "Oh, well, science this, science that," but we've never really seen the perspective of a Satanist on uh, uh, science and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting to kind of flip that script on that. Um, but I'm just kind of rambling at this point right now. There's a lot going in my head about this movie. What did you feel about it? What do you?
Yeah, I think one thing that both of these films have in common is that Alex Garland, who is the writer of not just these last two movies, 28 Years Later and The Bone Temple, but also I know he wrote 28 Days Later. I don't know if he had any involvement on 28 Weeks. I'm pretty sure 28 Weeks was like a new director. It's not Danny Boyle. It's not Alex Garland. I could be wrong there, but um, Alex Garland clearly came back all these years later with ideas, and the
Yep.
man's pouring just a crap ton of ideas into. I even have a hard time calling it a zombie movie because the zombies are so much more of an afterthought in these last two, and it focuses so much more on how the world is dealing with the after effects of not just like the zombie apocalypse, but just a crisis in general. Like you can tell that Garland had a lot to say in that first movie about Brexit, maybe even COVID, right? About how society ultimately adapts to those ideas and what is lost in the name of survival, right? Like, do we lose our humanity and our culture and our values in order to just survive, right? So, a lot of the ideas in that first movie are kind of jumbled, right? Like, my problem with that first movie is there's three different aspects of the film that I don't think blend well together. You have the first third where it's Aaron Taylor Johnson and Spike like going out, and it's kind of like a coming of age film. Fathers transferring knowledge to two children. Then the second movie, once Spike realizes that the myth of the invincibility of his father is kind of broken, then it's all about like him finding a way to heal his mother, who is now the only adult that he sees any viability with, right? And then we're introduced to Ray Fiennes' character, who is by far the most interesting part of both of these movies. Like he adds a truly interesting philosophical character. Like you mentioned before, he does mention he's an atheist in here, but frankly, I think he's probably one of the best allegories for religion, and I think that is explored much deeper in this movie, which is why I think I like it more than that first one. He almost feels priest-like in nature, right? Even the bone temple itself, he kind of frames it as this way to like remember those who have fallen, right? To kind of build a temple to the past and make sure that people aren't forgotten. Like it's a very religious thing to do, despite him being an atheist, right? While I think like we just simply didn't get enough of him in this movie, in 28 years later, Bone Temple, we get a lot more of that. And while we're missing the Danny Boyle, like rough, grimy, handheld camera movements and low angles that we got in that first movie, Nia DaCosta is bringing like a really strong, stable framing to these new, interesting themes of religion versus science. And Alex Garland is making a very clear stand here, right? He is saying that science is the side of acceptance and safety, whereas religion is the side of danger and cult-like control and power for the sake of corruption. Right, where like you have two characters, and what I think is probably the most interesting part of the movie, where you have Jack O'Connell's character and Ray Fiennes' character having a conversation, and like there's just so much going on there, where like you clearly understand that Jack O'Connell's character like is aware of what he is doing, right? He does not truly believe that he is this, you know, son of Satan like figure that he pretends to be, but then he comes back and realizes that he needs to maintain this in order to maintain a sense of control, right, over his disciples. And that's contrasted with Ray Fiennes, who is desperately trying to just save humanity through empathy, right? Like he is trying to, in what is easily probably the funniest part of this movie, where you have him and the Alpha just basically going on like acid trips together. Yeah. and it's like, the movie's got like a really funny, like comedic edge to it that I just was not expecting. Like Ray Fiennes is pulling up mountains here. And it's all culminated with what I think might go down as like a Sinners level scene, where we get I'll just say Ray Fiennes putting on a show for these to like this just awesome. It's just like an awesome visual treat. So I still don't think I don't think I fully comprehend everything that's going on here yet, but I think that this film, the themes there more just like I'm vibing with it more. Like while I wish that Danny Boyle maybe could have brought his style to this movie, that doesn't mean that I don't like what Nia DaCosta is doing here. Like she clearly shows that she is a good, unique horror voice. I don't know if you saw the Candyman Legacy sequel / remake.
I did, yeah.
That she did. Very good. I liked it. And I think that she's able to really like take this movie to a next step where like I'm curious where it's going to go, right?
Especially after that ending.
Yeah, very much so. And like that's kind of what I was concerned about after the first 28 weeks later. It's like, are we just kind of opening up too many doors and not going to be closing them by the time that third movie rolls around? And it seems like Alex Garland is like, we're going to close doors, but we're going to open more the more we go.
Right.
And maybe it doesn't all come together perfectly, but I like what's going on here. Like I could see Bone Temple going down as one of my favorites of this year.
I can understand.
Sorry, that was very long.
No, it's okay. I can understand why it's getting such great reviews through IMDb and everything. It is truly a very artistic zombie movie, and the 28 series in general has always been kind of a zombie movie that tries to break the norm in every single way possible. It breaks genres, it breaks the norm. I mean, look at the end of the last movie where all of a sudden it becomes a Kung Fu Power Ranger movie in the last couple seconds. Like it's just it's such a weird series that they take risks, they do what they want, and like you said before, it's hard to call it a zombie movie because there's not a lot of zombies in it at this point. But it's never been a zombie movie. It's a disease movie. They're not zombies. Um, it, what I'm struggling with is the connection to Jimmy Savile within these movies. Is I think it's a cool idea. I think it's pushed a little far. I think that it's a bit of a reach, but I'm conflicted because at the other side of my brain, it is a cool, great idea. And we kind of talked about this a little bit. If you don't know who Jimmy Savile is watching this movie, he was a British evangelical. What's the word?
Today, Junior.
No,
Evangelist.
okay.
Evangelist.
Yeah, he was more known as like a philanthropist, right?
Okay.
Like, so he was known for having a show called crap. Jim will fix it, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, Jim will fix
And
it.
it was basically like a Make-A-Wish show where kids were encouraged to write letters to him and he would make dreams come true, right? Like he was very much like a Mr. Rogers like figure in Britain for many, many years, at least throughout most of the 90s. So where I'm going to push back with you on, obviously you can look up what happened with Jimmy Savile, but after he passed away, some not so great stories came out about who this person actually was. And while I can see you being uncomfortable with just his reference in there whatsoever, I think it kind of works for the character that Jimmy in 28 years later is trying to convey here. One, you have to remember that when this movie takes place, right, the infection begins in what, like 2001, 2002?
Yeah.
So Jimmy's character in the movie would probably have grown up knowing of him as this sort of like charismatic leader, right? Almost a religious like figure,
Yeah.
right? And he wants to model that same energy off of him. And I think it's even more ironic that even though in that universe, like the Jimmy Savile story never would have came out because it came out several years after his death in like 2011. It ends up reflecting who Jimmy in the movie becomes even more often as this sort of lie, right? Like he's trying to maintain this facade. And that's where I think it really works. And it's unfortunate that just because he's not a very well-known figure to American audiences, it's not going to resonate as much as it would in Britain, for example.
Well, and that's the thing is it definitely it doesn't make me uncomfortable in any way. I think I'm just very confused as to the connection with the character, and I think what that stems for this whole movie is I don't think I fully understood the character's background. When we saw him in the first movie, all we saw was him hiding in a church. I guess I assumed to some point he was related to the church in some way, like
His
a
dad was the
ministry boy
pastor
or something. No, the character Jimmy in the movie, in the film.
Yeah, his dad was the pastor.
Okay, that's what I thought. So where does he
Yeah.
come up with the idea that his dad was Satan? Where is that coming in from? Am I just missing something within the movie, or?
Well, I mean, you could view it two ways, right? Like you could like that formative moment where Jimmy literally sees his father calling to the devils to come take him on, right? It could be something that kind of skewed with his mind there, but also being the son of a preacher, he would have grown up in a world where charisma is basically like the only way you keep your job,
Yeah.
right? So like I think like him growing up in the church and his dad being a pastor who is ultimately literally corrupted by the disease actually makes a lot of sense for the character kind of going through this emotional damage of becoming a sort of disturbing cult figure that will commit some of the most disturbing atrocities I think we've seen in this movie. Like by far, this is like the most intense and brutal of these films, I think.
No,
Yeah.
You saying that makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm less against it now. It makes more sense. And honestly, it kind of builds on the idea of like Jimmy the character is kind
Mhm.
of like has his cult based around television because that's what he would have done at the time. I mean, you see multiple times they make multiple Teletubby references going back to the
Yeah.
first film when the outbreak happened. They were all watching Teletubbies, so you have the
Mhm.
scene with them at dinner where he's like having his followers reenact Teletubbies and stuff like that. So I think it's
Yeah.
interesting to make him kind of like a TV cult kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's very much even though he is a man, right? He is very much stuck in the mind of who
An
he was
8-year-old,
when
yeah.
the outbreak took over. And it kind of comes to this idea of life standing still, right? And how do we not only come back from this, but like, do we just embrace the chaos, or do we actually just work for hope, right? We don't assume that the world's just going to get better. It's something that we actually have to work for.
Right.
And, he's a character who very much is just like, why work for anything better when I can just make whatever this is work for me?
Right,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah, once again, I really liked what this movie was putting down.
yeah, I thought it was great. Lots of male nudity in the film. Lots and
Uh,
lots. An incredible amount, actually. Very surprising.
yeah,
Um,
I mean,
if
it's
you,
mostly from one character, but I mean,
but hey, there's
yeah,
gonna be a lot of people that have always wanted to see Voldemort naked. Let me tell you that.
I, I can count up, I can count tens, I guess.
um, so be prepared for that. Obviously, I don't see any problem with it, but I know there's gonna be a lot of people that it makes uncomfortable.
Yeah,
But as in, there were some people in the movie theater that I heard whispers from. Uh,
yeah. Um,
don't take your 5-year-old to see the movie, obviously.
I mean, once again, folks, movies are rated R for a reason. Like, um, do research before you take your kid to a movie. Um, Even though I don't get what a kid would see in this movie anyway. Um,
Ray Fiennes, they'd see all of Ray Fiennes. I'll tell you that.
too much of Rafe. Yeah. So, if there's one thing I don't like about this movie, um, I don't like how underutilized Spike is.
Yes,
And I think where my problem comes is because Spike is so underutilized in this movie, it feels at times very disconnected from that first movie, right? Where Spike is sort of the glue that holds the entirety of the movie together, albeit very loosely in that first one, because he's so few and far between, we end up kind of seeing Jimmy as like the main character, and because you don't want to root for him, you're kind of just wandering through the movie aimless a bit. And I'm
I'd
wondering if you
actually
felt the same way.
no, I'd actually argue that Ray Fiennes is the main character of this film.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
think it works well. I agree with you that it's a little bit out of place to have the main character be a side character in this film.
Mhm.
And I mean, full spoilers now for the end. I have a feeling that with that third movie, we might see that again. Because I mean, if Cillian Murphy's
Killian.
Cillian, whatever, if Cillian Murphy is gonna come back, I have a feeling that he's going to be a huge part of this movie.
Yeah, that's where I'm guessing the third movie is going to go, where it's going to be a merging of the two worlds, right? You have Cillian Murphy's character from the first film meeting up with the 28 weeks later gang, right?
Yeah.
In a ultimate battle for survival. So,
I guess we'll see in what, 6 months, hopefully. Is it going to be
um,
another short one?
well, okay, so here's the problem. While this movie is being critically hailed, it is bombing at the box office. Um, I mean, we saw it today, ultra screen, 4 o'clock show on what's supposed to be one of the busier days, and we were maybe one of 6 people in the movie. So I don't have exact numbers here. I don't know if you like. My fear is that if the movie bombs, like, do they just scrap the idea of the third one?
Well,
That would be a real bummer.
So I'm not 100% on this, but I believe when that first movie came out, they said they were signed for 3, and I think they filmed them at the same time,
Okay.
which is how this second one came out so quick.
Yeah. I mean, it's a $60 million movie. It's only made like 31 million so far. So, and 63 million is just the budget of the movie itself. That's not counting marketing or anything like it's still quite a bit away from breaking even, if you will.
But they've seen that before with the first movie. Like that, this is typical for them. I feel like they make their money back on DVDs and stuff like that. That first 28 Days Later has become a cult classic, even though that it bombed when it released.
Yeah. So here, the film was announced as part of a planned trilogy, with Garland serving as screenwriter for all three. In January of 2025, so last year, Boyle confirmed that he would direct the final film. That September, Murphy said that a third film would only be produced if audiences go and see the second one. That December, it was reported that Sony was moving forward with a potential third installment prior to the film's theatrical release, with Cillian Murphy in talks to reprise his role as Jim and Alex Garland writing the script. So, I mean, that's pretty much the definition of up in the air now at this point, right? I mean, like, Sony says they're moving forward with it. Cillian Murphy says it's only going to happen if people want it to happen. I mean, I think something that's good for it, I was listening to a podcast earlier, like, if a movie is both a bomb and hated by people and critics, you're not going to get a sequel made. But like, if you have a movie that's well liked, but maybe doesn't make the money, it's more likely to get made, maybe not right away, but maybe down the road a little bit.
Yeah, so. And I can actually see this movie come award time, maybe picking up something. I mean, it's not going to pick up any crazy Oscars, but it's early in the year. We might see like some award for that great audio short towards the end, like. Some award, it'll get some award. It may not be an Oscar. It will get some award.
If I'm a betting man, I'd say no. I think it came out too early in the year. I think it'll be forgotten about by the time next year rolls. Like, literally the only way I could see it happening is if a lot of the movies that are expected to be big award season contenders just don't end up going that way, right? There's always a couple movies every year that are supposed to be awards darlings, and then they come out and they're just fall flat on their face. Yeah. Right. God, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know.
Yeah.
Edit that up.
Not important. Either way, I think we kind of talked as much as we can about it without giving too much away.
Yep.
I suggest go see it. Hopefully you have already seen it if you're watching this, because we gave some heavy spoilers and it's
very much so. Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully, but I think we'd both agree to just see it in theaters, especially on that Dolby. It was great on that Dolby Atmos. One of the really peaks of showing what that audio can do. One last thing I want to give a tidbit is back to Jimmy Savile. I actually learned when the first movie came out that the song Miracle Man by Ozzy Osbourne is actually about Jimmy Savile. So that's a little fact. Rest in peace, Ozzy.
Yeah. Someone who I guessing doesn't want his legacy associated with Jimmy Savile in any way, shape, or form. But
well, yeah. Look up the history of the song. There was a reason for it, and if you listen to the lyrics, it makes sense.
Oh, real quick. A note of positivity. This is currently the second highest grossing film of 2026.
Isn't it the second film of 2026?
Pretty much. Here. Number one is something called Cheburashka 2. What the? Oh my God. It is losing out to a live action animated children's comedy film from Russia.
A live action animated children's comedy film.
Yeah, it looks horrifying, actually. What is this? Cheburashka 2. Here, hold on. Can I share my screen?
I had to cut that because Tyler broke the screen when he screen shared.
Sorry.
I'll put up a picture of the movie, which I would have done anyways if you would have just asked. But that's how we're going to end the video, I guess. So we'll be back again next week with, what are we seeing? Oh, Silent Hill.
Oh, Christ, really?
Yep. And
Okay.
and as long as his wounds heal, Justin should be back.
Oh God, I hope he comes back.
I hope so, because I mean,
He's on his way. He's just got to get through a town with a lot of mysterious fog.
if we lose him to Silent Hill, and Silent Hill 2 is brutal, so I don't think Justin will come back from that if he's stuck in Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So, see you guys next week.